Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Results Mastery podcast and Lunch and Learn session. It's great to have you here. Thank you for your time. And today we're going to be talking about a really important aspect of your business, and that is how to make the last quarter of 2026 the best quarter. Now, the truth of the matter is about this session, it's about how to make your next quarter or your next year the best ever. And I've always believed in a saying that I learned a long time ago from a guy called Tony Robbins. And this is his quote. He said that if you're poor, you have a level called poor. I'll use marketing as an example. Your marketing is poor. What sort of rewards do we get for poor marketing? Now, the obvious answer to that would be poor. You're poor at something, you get poor rewards. No, you get pain. The rewards for poor health is pain. The rewards for poor marketing is pain, right? But let's take a jump up the scale to something called good. You're good, you're fine, you're reasonable. What rewards do most businesses get for being reasonable at marketing? And the answer for that is poor. You get poor rewards. Most businesses, 80% of them go bust within 5 years. And of the remainder, a full 90% go bust within the next 5 years. And probably, I don't know, of the remaining group, probably 60% of those are struggling to survive. They just about managed to. So if that's the case, then good is no good. Excellent. That's what we need. We need excellence. And what sort of rewards do we get if we're in the top 10%? We get good rewards. And do you know what? It really pisses us off. You know, we're doing really well. We're trying really hard. We're putting a lot of time and effort into it. But the truth of the matter is, for 90% of business owners, is that they've not been trained in sales and marketing. It's as simple as that. They're experts. Michael Gerber, in his book called The E-Myth, which I strongly endorse, says that the biggest problem with small businesses is operational expertise. In other words, you're an expert at what you do. You might be an expert solicitor, an expert car repairer, an expert hairdresser, an expert business coach. Whatever it is you do, you're often an expert. In other words, you've got a high level of knowledge in that, and people will pay you for that knowledge. Now, just because you can do the work of the business, just because you can cut hair, doesn't mean that you can run a business that cuts hair. Because you need skills in HR, you need skills in marketing, you need skills in finance, and so on and so forth. So if that's the case, then we've got to look at what we can do to become better. Another really good quote that I heard a few years ago is this: if you want a better business, you need to become a better business owner. You need to become a better business owner. And if you break that down into all the skills that you need, then two of the most important skills, if you're going to grow your business, is to become better at marketing and to become better at selling. There are no two more important skills in business as far as I'm concerned. You know, you've got to be good at selling, you've got to be good at marketing. Creating leads and converting those leads into sales is really what business is all about. There are only two ways of growing a business. If you want to grow a business, and more importantly, to grow profit in that business, then what have you got to do? You can reduce costs, that's good. Save a bit of money somewhere. Go and talk to your accountant or your staff about what they can do to help you save 5%, 10%, maybe 20%. But really, if you're going to grow your business, you've got to increase sales. And there are only really three ways of doing that. I'm going to talk about that amongst other things during this presentation. So hold tight. This is going to be really good. This, I know it's time and you're probably busy and so on and so forth, but this, I pledge to you, is going to be of real value to you and your business. So just bear with me a moment while I share my screen. I've got a couple of slides for you to look at. Just let me find them. There they are. And I just open those up in view and we'll be good to go. Okay, so my name's Steve Mills. My company's Results Mastery. It's great to have you here on this seminar called Improving the Last Quarter of 2006, how to make more sales, reduce costs, save time, and make more money ultimately. As I said, there are three ways of growing a business. One is to get more customers. Two is to increase their average transaction value, the average amount of money each customer spends each time they buy from you. And three is to get them to buy more often. My first question is, which is the hardest to do? Well, I hope you know the answer. It's to get more customers. If I then said, where do you put most of your marketing time, money, and effort? It's probably to get more customers. So what I'm saying to you here is there is a pot of gold sitting there waiting for you to ask for it that is based around increasing the average amount of money each customer spends when they buy from you and getting them to buy from you on a more regular basis. So to give this like a supermarket metaphor, what we've got to do is we've got to get more people to come into our supermarket. We've got to get them to fill their baskets with more goods or with more expensive goods. And then we've got to get them to come back again and again and again to buy from our supermarket as opposed to another supermarket. That is the whole ball of wax, really. And again, we're going to talk about that as we go through. Just before you do, I'll give you a little bit of background of me. I'm not going to read all that to you, but, needless to say, I've been around for a long time. I'm a former international standard table tennis player. And what that taught me was the importance of spending time around elite performers. It taught me about having the mental attitude to win, to do whatever it takes within the law and within ethics and sportsmanship. During the last 31 years now, I've worked with 10,000 businesses and helped them to achieve an average growth of 45%. I've written some books. I got loads of stuff and, loads of stuff there. So let's move on. We don't want to, you're not here to hear about me. When I say move on, we're now stuck. Oh, there we go. Hang on. All right, there we are. That's what I wanted to get to. So here's again, I love simple stuff. I don't like the complex stuff that people, find difficult to understand. So this is the path to growth. This is what I teach and preach. Number one, what can you do better? You're doing stuff. You've probably got a website, and that website is almost certainly winning you no or very little business. So why don't we start there? What have you got to do to get that better? And I want you to come at this from a mentality of pretty much everything that you're doing. If you've got a website, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're doing email marketing, if you're going networking, if you're winning business from referral, these are all key parts of your business growth platform, and we've got to get better at them. That's number one. So I'll give you an example. So your website, you got two areas, two things to think about. Firstly, and this is the first thing you do, you need to improve the CRO, which stands for conversion rate optimization. Okay. In other words, when you start thinking about getting traffic to your website, there's no point sending them to a website that does not convert. Okay, so we've got to get a website that converts. How do we do that? What can we do? Well, I don't know what your website's like, but I'm going to give you 5 or 6 or perhaps 7 things for you to look at. Firstly, your headlines. Can you improve your headlines? Can you make them more interesting? If you've got a website called that's got a page called Our Services or About Us, that's about as boring as you could possibly get. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about me. They care about what I can do for them and what you can do for them. So think about that and what you can do to improve your headlines. What about video? If you've not got video, video definitely increases conversion rate. So have a video on there. People buy from people that they know, like, and trust. Really, really powerful. What else? We could improve the words. We could improve the pictures. We could add a case study. We could add testimonials. We could improve the CTA, which is the call to action. So there's a load of things that we could do to do that. Then step 2, as I mentioned, we've got to get more traffic. Again, I'm not going to go into that in detail, but we can use LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, search engine optimization, Google ads, Facebook ads. We can even stand up at a networking event, offer something for free on our website, and tell a load of people to go and download it. So there's lots of things we can do better. We then need to look at doing more of it. You know, if we're spending £500 on a month on Facebook advertising, and for every £500 we spend, that's bringing us £3,000 back. Then why don't we do more of it? Why don't we spend £1,000? So that'll give us 6,000. Why don't we spend 10,000? That'll give us 60,000. You know, the more that once you've got it working as well as you can, then just do more of it. Then look, step 3, at what you're not doing that you could do, and that would even take it to the next level. So if you're not doing Google ads, if you're not doing LinkedIn ads, and so on and so forth, that might be something that you ought to be doing. Again, but you start off at step 1. You test it, you do a little bit of it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we need to improve it. We need to do it better. Then we need to do more of it. Then we'll need to look at something else. Now, I would say with this, you're not going to do better with everything overnight. So pick one thing that you're going to improve as a result of being here today and listening to me. What's the one thing? It might be to start off with your website. That's often the hub of everything that you do. So it might be to work on the conversion rate of your website and then getting more traffic to it. I know many businesses who've achieved significant improvements and growth in their business by doing that. So that's something for you. The other thing I just wanted to say, and I'm just using this by way of an example, I mentioned at the beginning, you need to become better. You need to become better at marketing. You need to learn new stuff. I got this thing that I call the Results Mastery University. It's online training. It's over 250 training videos covering all manner of different elements of marketing and sales and business development, as well as the online training. You gain access to various growth tips. You get to network with other members. There's a weekly Q&A. The membership is for your company, so you get access. If you got 10 people, you get 10 people being members, and it costs £50 a month. It's a no-brainer. Is it worth it to you? Well, it is if you use it. If you don't, it ain't worth anything to you. So I reckon that's worth 50 grand to any small business, even a one-person business. So that's a great opportunity for you. So let's look at the what I call the Kickstart program. This is the way we kickstart our business. First thing we've got to do, we've got to build the foundation. We've got to build a strong foundation. We've got to think about how can we overcome this thing called obscurity. That's a really, really important factor. We've then got to make sure that we've got the right products. Can we innovate? Is there something that we're not doing that we could do that the market wants? We've then got to get traction. If we're starting off, if we're launching this new product, for example, we need to work on that. We then need to think about, once we've got it maximized and not until, how can we scale this? How can we get more and more and more? And we also need to think about expansion and diversification, new markets. So I could, for example, I've got a training program called LinkedIn Mastery, but I could develop that into new products called LinkedIn Mastery for accountants, LinkedIn Mastery for nursing homes, LinkedIn Mastery for coaches. Are you with me? So it's the same product, but I'm packaging it and developing it, targeting it at a particular industry. Or I could do LinkedIn Mastery for job seekers instead of for businesses. So there's all sorts of things that we can do, and that is topped at that top of that pyramid. There is leadership. Not only leadership of your team, but the way you lead your customers, the way you operate yourself, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot in that, but I'm going to move on if I may. So this is another model that I use. I'm not going to talk through that other than to tell you that this is, if you work with me, if you were part of my results mastermind group, this is what we'd be working on. We'd be working on overcoming obscurity, really big challenge that 99% of small businesses face. Step 2, we'll be working at consistent communication, keeping in touch, because there's no point overcoming obscurity and then sending them a quarterly newsletter. Getting people to know, like, and trust us. This is where the gold is, that pot of gold. If you've got people that if you know, like, and trust me as a result of being here on this webinar, I've managed to raise my level of the know, like, and trust level, then that is incredibly powerful. And when you do need marketing help, it might be now, but it might not be. It might be in September, or even, in a year's time. If I keep in touch with you, what are you going to do? Are you going to go and Google somebody and find somebody that you don't really know? Or are you going to go to the person that you know, like, and trust at some level, even though you've perhaps never met me? Because you've listened to me, because you've spent time with me, because you've been on my events, you've perhaps read some stuff, you maybe watched a video, and so on and so forth. We've got that level of trust, so much so that you start communicating with me. You send me messages back. Thanks for having me on your event, Steve. Thanks for the video. I really enjoyed reading that report that you'd written, Steve, and so on and so forth. And once we got to that level is where we then have to start thinking about turning things into meetings. But do you know what? This is a big mistake that people make, and that is this. They connect to me on LinkedIn or send me an email, and they go straight to booking a meeting. I get people all the time go, hi, I was looking at your profile and I'd really like to connect you on LinkedIn. So I go, yes, okay. And then they just try and sell me something that they have no clue whether I'm interested in. And it's just the biggest mistake, I think, or certainly one of the top 5 biggest mistakes that people make in business. So build that relationship. Don't just start selling to strangers. We know how difficult that is. So if we then get into the meetings, we've got to be really good in those meetings at converting that into sales. Let me give you a little tip here. If you convert 2 out of 10, you get 10 leads, or you get 10 meetings, and you only convert 2 of them, that's a 20% conversion rate. If you could increase that by 20%, so instead of getting 20%, you got 40%, which is 20% more. You with me? What would happen to your business? You wouldn't get a 20% growth. Your business would double. Your business would double. Do you get the maths there? You know, a 20% improvement in conversion rate would give you twice as many customers over time, not overnight, but over time. Now, that is something to really think about. You know, it's one of the quickest, easiest ways of growing your business is to become better at selling. At selling, not at marketing. Although marketing can get you more leads and so on and so forth. But what you want to be good at is turning those leads into meetings and turning those meetings into sales. Okay, so 3-step results mastery system. This is the way I help my clients and myself by having a clear understanding of the problem, how to sort it out, and how I help. So I did some research about small businesses, and I researched what is the biggest problem that they have that I can solve. And pretty much the conclusion for that is they have a problem that they don't have time to do their own marketing. That was a big one. They also have a problem that they don't understand modern digital marketing methods. And the third problem that they had was that they'd done very little marketing and just relied on referral and word of mouth and a little bit of networking. And they're starting to get overtaken by their competitors. Now, they didn't understand AI, they didn't understand digital marketing, and it was starting to really, really worry them. So there were the 3 biggest problems. And now, step 2 in my email, I need to include information about what are they going to do. Well, they could train themselves. They could hire somebody to come in. They could start taking action. They could get better at what they already do. And to put the icing on the cake of this system, it was then about what can I do in order to help them. And so I've developed a variety of programs, including my university, including my results mastermind group, and so on, that help people to overcome the 3 biggest problems that they've got: lack of time, lack of understanding, and basically doing nothing for many, many years. So something to think about for you. How could you adapt that for your business? Okay. Right, let's talk briefly about AI. Clearly, in this very short seminar, I've only got about 5 minutes left, so you ain't gonna know everything that you need to know about AI in the next 5 minutes. What I will tell you is that based on, again, my experience speaking with hundreds, if not thousands of businesses every year, in my seminars and events and so on, one of the biggest problems that they've got is they don't understand how to use AR. So not AR, AI even. They don't understand how to use AI. So what do I mean by that? Well, they're using like less than, I'm going to say 99% of people are using less than 1% of AI. There you go. I've said it. I think that is true. Some of them are a little bit better. They may be using 10% of it, but the vast majority of people are not using AI anywhere near to its true capability. And even those who are, even someone like myself, I'd consider myself to be really, despite the grey hair, really up to date, really into the latest AI and technology and so on. And yet every day I learn something new. Why is that? Because every day there is something new to learn. There's something new out there. This week I came across another fantastic AI. I'll not tell you about it now, but if you want to meet up and talk about AI and how you might use it, then please feel free to let me know. So there's a massive opportunity. I'm actually running a AI workshop at the end of September. If you go to my website, results-mastery.com, you should be able to find details about that then. If you're watching this in the future, then again, go there and have a look to see if I'm running it again, which I almost certainly will be. So that's AI. 4 things you can do in your marketing right now. Generate content. You know, this is what AI will do for you in minutes and not hours. You know, you can do that. It's brilliant. Automate follow-up. I've got an AI called Amy. Amy makes phone calls for me. She calls people and books meetings. Now, if you compare the cost of Amy, which I think is something like $150 a month, with having a full-time person making sales calls, you know it's going to cost a lot more than that. It's going to cost £2,000-3,000, and you know it's just a no-brainer. Analyze what's working and what's not. That's a great opportunity that you can use AI for, but often people don't. They just do, oh, can you write me a social media post? Can you write me an email? Can you update this on my website? Become better at using AI would be, I think, really, really important. The last thing I want to tell you about is something that I mentioned. You know, I've got an AI avatar that makes calls for me. I use something called High Level. To give it its full title, it's Go High Level. Go High Level includes CRM, it includes digital marketing. It's probably, well, not probably, it's almost certainly, in my opinion, the world's leading digital marketing platform, and it's becoming more and more AI driven. It really is. It can do everything from, you can get AI to develop a website, to respond to your WhatsApp messages, to write your emails, to write your text, to produce landing pages, and so on and so forth. If you want to know more about it, get in touch with me and I'll be very happy to give you a demo of the software. Another software I'm using right now is called Manus.ai. That'll pretty much do everything that you could need in your business. It really is fantastic. And also, if you go to my website, there's something called AI Steve. Can you believe that? It's really weird. It's like a steel version of me. You'll see it on my homepage. You can click on it and then you can ask it questions. You can ask it how to do this, how to get more people to my website, how to improve my conversion rate optimization. You might remember those from the beginning of my talk. So it's brilliant. I really love it. What I've done is I've taken all my knowledge over the last 30 years, uploaded that into AI Steve. And if there's a question that's not to do with anything that I've written, it just goes to you know, the internet and does the search just like a normal AI. So it really is fantastic. The last little bit of tip I've got for you is typeless. Typeless. If you're not using any dictation software, typeless is brilliant. It is, as it sounds in the name, a way of never having to type anything ever again. So if you want to write an email to somebody, you talk an email to them. If you want to redo your words on your website, you talk those words. So you don't type, you talk. It saves me, on average, about 40 hours a month. So about 10 hours a week, about 2 hours a day, right? From instead of typing, I just talk. And it's free. So go and have a look at that, and I hope that that helps. So that's it for today. I've run out of time. Thank you ever so much for being here. If you are interested in booking a meeting with me, then what I strongly suggest is that you go to my website. If I just move my microphone over, you'll be able to see my website, which you can do now. It's results-mastery.com. Go there, click on one of the links, book a meeting, and I look forward to meeting you. Or if you'd like to, you can just email me. That's at steve@results-mastery.com. Thanks very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you either next week or perhaps on my podcast in the near future. Thanks very much, and goodbye for now. So thank you for listening. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, and even more, if you've benefited from it and you'd like to know more, you'd like more of my help, and you'd like to benefit from my nearly 30 years of experience working with and learning from the leading experts in the world in the area of sales and marketing, then here's what you need to do next. You need to go to my website, which is results-mastery.com, and use the gold button to book yourself a meeting on a one-to-one basis with me. Thank you very much for listening again, and I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Thank you.